So let's talk about something we all struggle with. How do you keep showing up day after day, long after that amazing initial burst of inspiration is just gone? Today, we're going to break down why consistency, not motivation, is the real engine for progress, and how you can master the art of keeping promises to yourself.
You know that feeling, right? It hits you after you read some amazing book, or maybe you just wake up one day and decide, that's it. I'm finally gonna do the thing. The dream is so clear you can almost taste it. And for a minute, it feels like all you have to do is just bottle up that feeling and you're golden.
But there's always a catch, isn't there? That incredible, on top of the world feeling, it fades. It always fades. Maybe it sticks around for a day, maybe a whole week if you're lucky, but then, Monday comes, your mood shifts, and that thing that felt so easy yesterday, suddenly it feels like you're staring up at a giant mountain. So, what is going on here? And that gets us to the heart of the problem. See, we've basically been sold a lie about motivation. Trying to rely on it as your main source of fuel, well, it's a strategy that's pretty much guaranteed to fail. Here's the core issue. We've mistaken a temporary feeling for a permanent force. As the great Jim Rohn put it, we treat motivation like it's this thing we can just grab and hold on to. But in reality, it's just a fleeting emotion. It's an illusion. It was never meant to last. Look, motivation absolutely has a job to do, don't get me wrong, but it has a very specific job. It's the starter pistol. It's what gets you to buy the running shoes or sign up for the class or just open up that blank page. But it was never, ever designed to carry you through the messy, boring, difficult middle part. That's a whole different job. And this just lays out the difference perfectly. On one side, you've got that emotional excitement. It feels amazing, it makes it super easy to start something, but it totally depends on your mood. And on the other side, you have true commitment. This has nothing to do with how you feel, it's all about a promise you made to yourself. And it really gets tested in the middle, when it's just you and nobody's watching or cheering you on.
So, if motivation is just the spark, then what's the engine? Well, this is where we get to the real secret sauce for any kind of long term success. We're talking about discipline. It's the force that kicks in when all that initial excitement inevitably runs out of gas.
I love this definition because it just cuts right to the chase. It completely separates your actions from your feelings. See, discipline doesn't care if you're in a good mood or a bad mood. It's not about trying to feel excited every day. It's simply about honoring the promise you made to your future self, no matter how you're feeling right now. And this is such a key distinction to make. One Reddit user put it perfectly. You have to build your habits on willpower, not motivation. Because a feeling is totally fickle. But a choice? Now that's something you actually control. Willpower is that conscious choice to act simply because you said you would, not because you feel like it. Okay, so that's the what and the why. It sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? So now we're going to get into the really practical stuff. This is your 4-part toolkit for building that engine of discipline. All right, tool number 1, you have to find your for what. Consistency for its own sake is pointless. It's just the car. You have to know where you're driving. So don't just say, oh, I want to work out more. No, go deeper. What are you really after? Is it having more confidence? Is it being healthy enough to chase your kids around the park? Get specific and get emotional about it. That's the real fuel. Okay, tool number 2 is my favorite. Start ridiculously small. Your ego wants this massive overnight transformation, right? But real, lasting change doesn't work that way. So instead of, I'm going to run 5 miles every day, you make the goal, I will put on my running shoes and step outside. Instead of read 50 books this year, your job is to read one single page. You want to make the action so tiny, so easy, that it's actually harder to fail than it is to just do it. That's how you build momentum. And that leads us right into tool number 3, build a simple system. Think of your willpower like a phone battery. It drains during the day. So don't waste that precious energy deciding when you're going to do your habit. Make it automatic. Anchor your new habit to something you already do without even thinking. We call this habit stacking. So after I make my morning coffee, I will read 1 page. Boom, the decision's already made for you. And our 4th and final tool, create a feedback loop for yourself. This journaling method is just brilliant. At the end of the day, you just list out your main activities and you color code them. Green for things that moved you forward, red for things that held you back.
Now, this isn't about beating yourself up, not at all. It's just about awareness. It's like having a coach who just holds up a mirror and shows you, in simple red and green, what you actually did today. And look, I know what you're thinking. Does this stuff actually work? Well, the person who came up with this journaling method, they shared their story of hitting absolute rock bottom. Waking up at 3 in the afternoon, living on junk food, just completely lost. And these exact simple tools are what they use to turn their entire life around in just 6 months. It works because it's real. It's grounded in small, daily choices.
So you do all this work. You build these tiny habits. Why? What's the real endgame here? What's the actual reward for all these small, seemingly insignificant daily actions? Well, let's talk about the real prize of consistency.
Think about it. After one day of discipline, you don't really see a change. After a week, maybe you feel a tiny flicker of something. But after a month, people around you might start to notice you're a little different. And after a year, you won't even recognize the person you were. Those tiny daily actions, they stack on top of each other. They compound into this massive force of change.
It's so easy to dismiss the small stuff, right? Because you don't see this huge result immediately. But the math just doesn't lie. Getting just 1% better each day doesn't feel like much. But over a year, the compound effect is absolutely staggering. The real progress is happening under the surface, long before you can see it. But here's the real secret. The external results, the better health, the new skill, whatever it is, that's not the ultimate prize. The most powerful reward is what happens inside. Because every single time you keep a promise to yourself, you're sending your brain a quiet message. You're building evidence for a new story that says, hey, I can count on me. I'm someone who follows through.
You can think of it like this. It's a consistency contract that you sign with yourself every single day. The action itself might be tiny, reading one page, taking a 5-minute walk, but the act of honoring that contract, it's monumental. It builds character, it builds self-respect, it builds this unshakable foundation of confidence that nobody can ever take away from you.
So, as we wrap this up, the question isn't about next week or next month or next year. It's much simpler than that. What is one ridiculously small promise you can make and keep to yourself today? Because that right there is where the art of consistency truly begins.